kind of trickles in here, but so we are Northeast Women's Disc Golf. We're going to talk intros and mission a little bit later, but first I just wanted to start with some questions, a couple rhetorical, and one to foster kind of a conversation. So this one's kind of more geared towards men. Like, how many of you wish you have a significant lady or related friend who you want to play disc golf and get excited about it and play with you and stuff like that? Who isn't right now? And a follow-up to that is, what do you think it takes to foster that participation? So that's kind of the conversation we want to have today. So my question I want to pose to the ladies is, what do you need to feel comfortable participating in disc golf? If anyone wants to share their thoughts.
Yeah, I would. He started participating in disc golf during the pandemic. We would watch YouTube videos, we'd watch competitions. I would walk the course, and that was good for a certain amount of time. And then I thought, it'd be fun to make those chains rattle myself, and started doing that. So.
That's amazing. Was there anything in the community or anything that made you feel extra comfortable, like taking that step and coming out and playing more?
Maybe just the vibe, the positivity, the mutual support. It's such a great community.
We love to hear it. For my ladies who just walked in, we are having a conversation to start. What do you need to feel comfortable participating in disc golf? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I'll go. So I just got into it. My brother-in-law will work for a YMCA in my town, wanted to put it in a disc golf course. So that's how I pretty much got involved. I met people who, help you, get that set up or whatever. So I'm an athletic and sporty person, so I don't care what boys say, and I just go out with it anyways. But to get more women to be able to feel comfortable and play in events and even just casual leagues or meetups. Making sure that everyone feels open and welcome. Make sure that it doesn't matter what level of ability you are, if you are just starting out today or you've been playing for 10 years, it doesn't really matter. I've only been playing for a couple years, but I think it's the best way to get people out and in their environments to different places they may not even know there was a park there, or just to get people feeling comfortable and outdoors is what I really want to strive for.
Yeah, love that.
That's amazing. We love that. So on that note, we're kind of gonna go through our history. But first we'll do our mission statement, and our mission is to encourage and inspire Northeast area women to grow their involvement in disc golf through education, empowerment, recognition, and community. So we're gonna go through our history and kind of what we're doing today to achieve that mission, and then we'll take a Q&A at the end. Do you have any questions?
So these are the questions that we just proposed to you, and thank you so much for your participation, because we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the community and the community that we wish to serve. So I think to answer this question, how do we, New DG, foster a community to encourage women's participation in disc golf? I do think it's important that we talk a little bit about where we came from, because we've come a long way since we were established 10 years ago. And for those of you who are thinking about starting a women's league or encouraging women in your community to participate, I think one of the biggest things is to have patience. And first we created a board for New DG. So we just wanted to do a quick introduction before we dive a little bit into our history. So my name is Julie Fridella, and everybody calls me Juge. And I am one of the co-founders of Northeast Women's Disc Golf. And I think we can just kind of go down the board, go down the row there. Mindy's next.
Mindy, PG.
My name is Mindy Lee LaFontaine. I'm also the co-founder of Northeast Women's Disc Golf.
Hi, I'm Katie Grace Dudley, KG, and I am a VP of sponsorships. So I'm the person to talk to if you have a business that you're interested in sponsoring us. We provide some different, rewards and benefits for different sponsorship levels at our booth, so come talk to me about that. And thank you.
I'm Chantal, VP of Operations, so I do a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff.
I'm Kim Kissel, I'm the VP of Community Relations, so do a lot of the people-facing stuff.
I'm Kayla Hatch, I am a board member. Liz Sidbar, also a board member.
My name is Liz Croto. I'm an owner of Oakham Disc Golf, and I'm a board member.
Thank you. In addition to our board, we also have an amazing team of state reps and officers, and although we don't meet often, it's about every 6 weeks or so, and we think it's important to have a pulse on what's going on in each state and all of the communities that our goal is to serve. Does anybody else want to speak on that?
Oh, I just wanted to mention Lindsay's manning our, good. Lindsay's doing a great job manning our booth right now. If you want to say hi. Yep.
Lindsay is our women's advocacy officer, and she is manning our booth right now while we are all here. So a little bit about where we came from. In 2008-ish, there was a small women's community in central Massachusetts who would get together weekly during a men's league that was happening concurrently. So a lot of the men would get together at a course in central Mass, and right down the road there was another course about a 9-holer, and the ladies would get together and play together there. And that really, I think, is where the women's community in Central Mass was born. The first Women's Global event, raise your hand if you're familiar with or have ever played in a Women's Global event before. Woo! So the Women's Global event is Val Jenkins' world champion's brainchild, and it was the goal was to get women playing, whether it was together in one location, but also women around the world playing together and experiencing the joy of disc golf together on the same day. In 2012, it wasn't a women's only tournament, it was the Tully Open plus WGE, and a lot of WGEs still do run like that, although with the popularity of women's disc golf growing, there are a lot more women-only tournaments happening. At this point in time, this was the most women at a tournament I had ever seen, and there were 19 women at a 72-person tournament. On January 1st, 2014, New DG was established. We began with a traveling league in South Central Mass. We would go between different courses every week, post where we were going to meet up on our social media, which didn't have a huge following at the time, but we would also post flyers at these at the courses showing where we were going to be, and we made a schedule for the whole season. So a big part of that was Women's Wednesdays, so Pyramids, where Marshall Street is located, they did a women play free on Wednesday. So Mindy and I kind of took that as, okay, let's try and get women to play at different courses on Wednesdays and try to get pay-to-play courses to also offer women free Wednesdays as an effort to grow the women's population playing disc golf. Later in 2015, there was a northern division of our league, and this was all inspired. I have to give a shout out to the Disc On Ladies League, or the Dolls, in Wisconsin, run by Jenny Sanfilippo, a pioneer of women's disc golf in the Midwest. I personally had to travel to Michigan to find a women's only tournament in 2013 because they just didn't exist here. And upon flying to that tournament, all alone, my first disc golf venture, I met and made connections with so many incredible leaders in the community, including Sam from Mitten Bags, who's here, Erin Oakley, who is in the Michigan Disc Golf Hall of Fame, who was the TD of that tournament, and New DG is here in a big way because of them. And then Mindy traveled with me the following year to that tournament, and the connections that we made were really, really important in growing women's disc golf in our region. In 2015, or in 2012, there was a putting league at a course that unfortunately no longer exists. It was an indoor women's putting league. Does anybody participate in putting leagues? Awesome. And it was Mindy's idea to get one going at Halligan's in Auburn. And we don't just offer our putting leagues to women, it's available to anybody who wants to come play, but our goal is to have it, again, on Wednesdays to try and get more women involved in playing on Wednesdays, and if they come and play at our Wednesday putting league, maybe that will transfer into coming to our Wednesday leagues that exist all over the area. So at that point in time, Chantal, her husband played, she was brand new to the sport, and that's where we first met, was at the putting league in Auburn in 2015, before you even really got out to play on a course, right? So putting leagues are just as valuable to getting new women to play disc golf as it is getting them out onto the course. Since we've been at, our personal putting league has been at 3 different locations, and we're currently operating out of the schoolyard in West Boylston, Mass. And it's like an adult recess indoor facility, which is such a great place, and they're so supportive of having disc golf in their facility, and we're so grateful for that. Anything else on putting leagues? It's grown exponentially in our area. There's now putting leagues all over Massachusetts, all over New England.
Every day of the week.
Every day of the week. So if you're looking for a putting league on the Massachusetts Disc Golf Facebook page, I think they have a schedule if you're local. But if you don't have a putting league and this is something you're interested in, please contact us. We can send you the scorecard we use or different ideas for formats. There's several different formats that occur in our area, different ways to keep score. So if that's something you're interested in starting in your area, what we would suggest is going to local places that have large indoor spaces. A lot of breweries are willing to host putting leagues. Other like indoor soccer facilities, I think Circle One has one up in Maine in an area like that. Rod and Guns, VFWs, anything in your area that you think would be willing to support the growth of disc golf and women's disc golf in particular, we suggest just start by reaching out. We do charge folks to come play, that goes to payout, and part of it also goes to the host. So a lot of times they'll ask that you pay to play, but usually it's minimal. So just reach out to your local areas to see if anybody's willing to run a putting league.
Tracy's virtual putting league too.
There is our Western New York rep, Tracy Haid. She does a virtual putting league for women. It's women only, so if you go onto Facebook and look up women's only virtual putting league, she's been doing this since the pandemic, and it's been really successful in encouraging, and people do it from all over the world, all over the country. People participate in this women's only virtual putting league where she does do scoring and prizes. Has anybody heard of it? Just out of curiosity? Yeah, it's really, really successful. So if you're not able to find a space, a brick and mortar space, you could always try something virtual too. I'm sure she'd be willing to help foster that. Any questions about putting leagues? In 2014, we had our second Women's Global in the area, and we jumped up to 48 women playing. This was run by Mike Solt. He's out of Pennsylvania, and this was also an event that wasn't women only. It was men and women, but it was March on Maple plus WGE. So you can see there was a big jump in women's participation there. In 2016, it was another WGE year, but we were also scheduled in Maine to host the United States Women's Disc Golf Championships, which was a huge deal. It was one of the first majors in New England's disc golf history, yeah. So as a result of that, Mindy had the idea of making a women's series. We knew this already existed in Michigan, the Michigan Women's Series, which later became the Midwest Women's Tour. Again, shout out to Erin Oakley. So we tried to get a women's series going, and while the participation wasn't always huge at those smaller events, it still people still come up to us and say, I remember that women's tournament that I played at Bellamy. I remember that women's tournament that we played at Devon's. So it was a really great foundation and laying of the groundwork to what we wanted this to look like. And Mindy, do you have anything to add? It's her brainchild, gotta give her credit.
Yeah. I mean, it's really like you say, just keep moving forward, keep asking the questions and just lining it up, you know. Get tournament's the next step, series the next step. I just low turnout resulted in a few years delay, but now we're like twice the turnout. You
Right.
Just keep going and persisting.
Yeah, just don't give up, be persistent. So that year, our WGE had 60 participants, so now we're still moving up. I believe this was a WGE on its own. Was that your first? Was that your first?
That was my first.
Yeah. Can you speak to that one at all? How was your experience at your
That
first?
was probably one of my best disc golf experiences ever. My first time at Maple Hill, my first tournament ever, and it being a women's global event. See me now, 8 years, 9 years later, I'm full blown into the sport, and I can all thank it to these ladies right here.
And that's exactly like what keeps us going, is hearing about these positive experiences that folks have and falling in love with the sport just as we did. This is the goal. Thank you, Cass.
Oh, you're welcome.
So later that year, we saw the United States Women's Disc Golf Championship at Sabatis. 90 women all in one place. I had never seen that many women in one place before. New DG had a table set up and trying to spread the good word about what we were doing to all these people who were traveling from out of town.
You know, I think about that event every now and then. I had called and asked if we could bring a table. And it was like, right over their head, like, wait, you want to bring a what? Like, there's vendors, people want to do that. I think of that event because I'm like, I wonder if people started like, I'm bringing my booth now. So that was really fun to know that we were the only people there. We were the only table, was a New England women's disc golf table at the women's
At a PDGA major at that.
Yeah.
And even jumping ahead, a handful of us went to the U.S. Women's in Wisconsin in 2022, and there was 300 women at that event. And so to think about like how far this women's only major has come in
Like every
with every vendor possible, right? Like, and so it's so, I always appreciate like rehearing the history because it's like, oh my gosh, like so much has happened in such a short amount of time, and it's very cool to bear witness to.
In 2018, we changed up our venue and we went to another now course that no longer exists. We went to Rapscallion Disc Golf. It was a disc golf brewery hybrid, and it was pretty rainy that day. I think the weather scared a lot of folks away for that one. But for all of us that were there, as you can see, we all had smiles on our faces. And I think another thing to note about running a WGE is to make sure you have a women-friendly layout. So all the years that we did Maple Hill, we always played Reds, which is the shortest layout, no water carries, easier walking and just kind of fun. And while at this one, it was also a women's friendly course, birdies available for any level, and also creating shorter layouts for your juniors, for your FA4s, for your grandmasters, just even going out and putting out flags and adjusting fairways to make it easier for all skill levels is really important for WGEs and other women's only events.
Now that year it rained, but that was the first year that Maine established their own women's global event.
Yes.
So there was 2 events coinciding and splitting those numbers.
Right. Yep, Maine had their own. In 2020, sadly, due to the pandemic, it was canceled. And in 2021, it was the first sellout. This was a ladies only event, and it was 72 ladies. And if you have never run a women's global, there's one thing to know is that you have to play the same layout both rounds. Not every division has to play the exact same layout, but you can't do, like, for example, at Maple Hill, you can't do reds and then you can't do whites. It has to be the same full day for your rounds to count toward the global, what word am I looking for? The scores, yeah, global scores. So in 2022, the rebrand of our tournament series happened. And we became the Bay State Queen Women's Series. It was a WGE year because originally it started on even number years. And because of the pandemic, it was pushed to 21. And that's why you had back-to-back years. And now we're back to, this is a WGE year in 2024. But there was also, Kim, maybe you can speak to this. Go ahead.
Okay, I will. So that year, January 2022, I was gonna say, I'd give Steph Barnett a shout out. She, for folks who might know her in the area, she had messaged me about running a women's only tournament at our home course at Borderland State Park in Easton. And then she's like, yeah, I'm hearing this person's doing an event with a Women's Day and this person's doing a women's event this year. And I knew we were planning on running to WGE that year at Maple. And I was like, it's like 5 women's events all in the same year in our area. I'm like, we gotta do something with this. And so within hours, we got all the TDs on a Facebook Messenger, kind of pitching it and throwing it out there and hey, what do you think if we do this series, with New DG backing? Are you into it? And within hours we had a series name, a logo concept, dates, everything coordinated. It just kind of showed, at least for me, shows the power of like-minded people with similar goals, how much you can accomplish in a very short amount of time. And so that was the brainchild for our Bay State Queen Women's Series, which has now been rebranded to the Queen of the Northeast. And so that year started with 4 events and a finale?
Correct.
4 events and a finale, so 5 events total, including WGE on its own slide.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Including WGE, which Juice will talk about next.
And also with the Bay State Queen Series, we found that 1-round events, not every event has to be a 2-rounder. We had some 1-round events. We did mixed doubles, triples, mixed triples. It doesn't always have to be your standard. If you're trying to attract new players or players who don't yet feel comfortable playing, maybe without their significant other, or just they're kind of getting their feet wet, kind of messing with the format or doing different things, people have just as much fun at a doubles or a triples or a 1-rounder as they do for a 2-rounder. So you can always put out a poll to your community, see what would work well for them. They're creating a lot of opportunity to win prizes, CTPs, raffles, side games. And again, if you have any questions about any of this stuff, please reach out to us on our social media and we can give you more details on that. We always provide snacks in a water station around the course. So around hole 9 or 10, whatever is easier to get to, somewhere halfway through, somewhere near hole 1 and around Tournament Central. One of our trademarks has been to always provide healthy snacks, protein-packed snacks, and a water station, a water jug around the course, something you don't often see at maybe a mixed event where there's men and women playing.
Also bathrooms.
That was my next bullet.
Is it up there? Okay.
Yep.
As I say.
Bathroom availability is key. One of the, we put out a call so for the past 3 years, we've put out a Google form asking for interest, who wants to run an event in our series. And it's not really a contract, but it's a set of guidelines. So as part of our guidelines, we say, have to have a bathroom available. If you cannot provide a porta potty, let us know, and we'll do some sort of fundraiser to make sure there are either 1 or multiple porta potties available for your event. That is huge for women to have a bathroom.
And I see everyone nodding in agreement there, so definitely take note. Bathrooms, bathrooms, bathrooms.
So in 2022, our WGE at Maple Hill, we were still sticking with playing the red layout for all divisions. we were able to add, with the help of Steve Dodge, if you don't know him, he's in the birdie room. He created 2 extra holes on the course, and we did 5-some, so we were able to accommodate 99 players at our Women's Global event in 2022, and that was the largest women's global event in the world. Thank you. It was so incredible to see so many women in one place enjoying themselves, and if you've never been to a women's tournament, or if you're interested in running a women's tournament, the vibes are just unmatched.
I was gonna say, I describe it as drunk girl in the bathroom energy, where you're just like, oh my God, you're amazing. No, you're amazing. You're beautiful. But it's like, you know, sober or not, but like everyone is just like loving and so supportive and like wants everyone to do well. Like, yes, there's still a competitive edge in the air because we all care and want to do well, and it's also really supportive. So it's a very cool combo.
Can I feedback on that?
Yeah.
So I was actually fortunate enough, my first tournament ever was at 501, the Sunstein Women's Day, and you're surrounded by women of all different skill levels and just beginning, and it was unreal. The energy within that parking lot before we teed off, walking up to holes, that is my home course, so just following up girls that needed help up the mountain or a different way to their starting hole. It was just unreal, the amount of energy throughout the award ceremony. Everyone stuck around, everyone was there to give a pat on the back and say, nice job, you just reached a whole nother level today. It was untouchable. So women's events are where it's at.
I have to agree though. Energy at that point.
Yes. Oh.
So looking to 2024, we are hosting another WGE at Maple Hill, and we want to make it bigger and better. We still want to have the title of having the biggest one in the world, so we're going with a 2-day B tier. We're hoping to get enough sponsorships to really, really make this huge. So if you know of any businesses that would be interested in helping us out, that would be great. We would like on Saturday night to have a player party, side games, music, maybe a glow round. One thing with having a 2-day with tea times is, how do we get everybody to stick around if your tea time is in the morning? So we've been doing a ton of brainstorming, and we're gonna focus all of our energy on this as soon as the expo is over. But really figuring out how to make the new format still a positive experience for every participant, no matter what your level is at. And really quick, I have to thank Maple Hill and Steve Dodge for always being so supportive and supporting women's I can't read what I wrote, involvement and participation in disc golf. So that is a picture from our Wednesday weekly that we do at Women's Disc Golf. Again, women come and play free. You don't even have to sign up for a tea time. And Steve happened to be there that day, and it was a pleasure to have him jump in the picture because ever since I've known him, he's always been so pro ladies and how to make disc golf fair and equal to ladies at all levels and pro alike. And he is the founder of the Disc Golf Pro Tour, in case you're not sure. And I'm gonna stop talking now.
Thank you, Juge, for providing such a thorough history and for making all the slides. You're fantastic. All right, so this year we had a board meeting earlier this month and really wanting to talk about what our goals are for 2024. We had 12 events in our series in 2023, and we realized pretty quickly halfway through, we're like, ooh, we might have gone up from 5 to 12, that might have been a little too fast. We felt like we weren't able to be present or be involved in each of the individual events as much as we wanted to. It felt like it was a lot more scrambling. And so this year, that was one of our big reasons why we decided to scale back, and we have 8 events on our series this year. Some of our other goals are to increase women's membership and retention in the New England Flying Disc Association, or NEFA. All of our events this year are going to be NEFA as well to help with that, to encourage women participation in that point series. Most of our events are also part of the Sunstein Points series, which is a kind of a local points events run by Steve at Sunstein, with culminating in a huge final event in October. We're also hoping to increase our social media presence, and we want to really build the space to be celebratory and also informational for our community. And speaking of community, that's kind of one of our big words and big themes of this year. And so we've got a lot planned in terms of looking into bag tags and different meetups and expanding leagues and, you know, not just focusing on the competition side of disc golf, but also the fun, casual, like supportive side as well. Is there anything I'm missing? No. Wonderful.
We're ready for your questions.
What
What questions do you have for
Want me to do
us?
that
Also, one other thing I just want to mention, you saw the schedule quickly up on the slides, but we have printouts if you want to see our schedule, take it home, and I don't know, come to some, or all of them.
Can we do a plug for kickoff?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Good plug.
Yes.
So again, I help run Ocone Disc Golf, and we have the Ocone Gala, which is a women's only C-tier PDGA sanctioned event, and NIFA event. The registration opens tonight at 8 o'clock. If you're interested, the course is located in Brookfield, Mass, which if you don't know where that is, it's in Central Mass, near Sturbridge area, close to Worcester. So please look it up. It's going to be a great event. It's going to be very fun, very supportive, all the great energy that everybody else here described. We're so excited to have you.
All right, who has questions? I'm gonna run the mic over.
This is so informal, like just talk to us.
All right, I'm coming.
No, that's fine.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you guys for putting this together. I'm speaking on behalf of Innova, but also the USDGC and Throw Pink, and I've been in this for a minute, so this is about 30 years of disc golf for me. I really wanted to focus on the U.S. Women's Disc Golf Championship, which we started at Winthrop. So we actually ran the Women's National Championship in 1999, 2000, and then again in 2020, which was the only major for ladies that year. And then in 2021 was the first United States Women's Disc Golf Championship. And so it's always kind of warms my heart to hear the stories and to have been part of it, I guess, of all of my disc golf activity. Being the caddy for Henna Blommaris the past few years is one of my more fonder memories here. But I get the question a lot about splitting up that tournament and having FPO be its own thing. And you get mixed opinions, but it's such a special thing for all ladies, and it's such a supportive community. And part of me understands why that conversation is happening. Part of me finds it difficult to get down with splitting it apart and what that might mean for all the amateur and junior ladies coming up. So if you have any opinions on that in particular, I would love to know that. And the only other, this is sort of a second part question, what can especially with manufacturers, like what can we do, or what are some of the things that manufacturers have done that are the most meaningful to you over the years as women in disc golf?
I have an opinion on your first one, because I thought the same thing. Why was it split? Like, my first thought was, I don't like that. Like, why not have it be one tournament like all the other ones? But I've been to that as a spectator, and like you said, it's its own special thing. And now I'm fully sold on it kind of being its own tournament. So I guess I...
Coming from someone playing FPO.
Yeah,
Well, the Throw Peak event has given us a chance to really sort of do that.
Yeah.
I mean, 2020 was a necessity, but then Throw Peak these last 2 years have kind of given us a glimpse of what that could look like.
Yeah.
But we didn't, we could never, USDGC was always one division. After we let U.S. Women's go off and kind of grow up and become its own thing, we couldn't create another division because that would compete with the event that we already created specifically to be successful for women. So that sort of opened the door for us to do something again at Winthrop. But I don't know, it feels like the majority of people that I've talked to, the majority of ladies that I've talked to would prefer it stay
Yeah,
Yes.
I think it's become like its own special thing. And I love the clinic that you do. It's very fun. All the women are very accessible. So if you guys ever get a chance to go down there and watch, it's fun.
I am in the camp where have throw pink be a major, women have 5 majors, it's like mirrors the LPGA, you know? And keep US women's what it is. It's such a special event. I'm not sure if that is exactly what you asked, but like I know there's been a lot of this has been a controversial topic, and throw pink is an incredible way for the top women in the world, like another opportunity for them to compete and have their own thing. But US women's, I've been to 2 of them now, I think, and just seeing the juniors meet the pros and the clinic and everything that comes along with it, it's just so special. And being able to highlight different cities and different women's communities. Like someday, if we could be lucky again to have it in our area and showcase, like not just Sabatis and Maine, but showcase some of the other incredible courses that we have in the New England area, and to see women of every ability level and every age come together, there is just something so magical about that event.
And then your question about what can manufacturers do, I think lightweight and understable. Because there's nothing worse than going, I go to a tournament and they give me a full weight destroyer and I'm like, no.
I was gonna say, also not all pink and purple discs.
I think we had that.
Some, but maybe not every single one.
Really lightweight discs.
Yes.
That's the key, lightweight for us.
Having enough, because I know men do like having some lighter weight discs.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think,
So, like on a production standpoint, like having enough of your product to be able to spread across both men and women, because you have men who may not have the same arm speed. My father's 6, so he doesn't have the same arm speed as a 20-year-old. So he's buying a lower weight disc as well. So having enough in your stock to be able to suffice, because you might launch them, but they're gone so quickly that we can't even buy them.
We have to make it a more amount instead of
because
small amount.
you might want.
A lot of times, as soon as they release,
You got these guys out here who are
they're already
disc
buying them
heads,
up,
and they buy them up
and
by.
we can't even
I can't even buy 1, and they're buying 5.
Yeah.
So the other thing that I was thinking about was the bags. So I don't use a 20 discs at any given time. And if I get a bag that holds a smaller amount, I don't have enough pockets for stuff. So, and if you get a bigger bag with pockets for stuff, then the discs all tip over. And it's like, I carry a big old water bottle and some snacks. This is even in the summer. In the winter, I've got gloves and all kinds of stuff too. But in the summertime, that water bottle's heavy. I don't want to carry extra discs so that things tip over. But I also want everything nice so that I can find it. And I think you either get a small bag that has enough to carry 16 discs and no other pockets, maybe a nice water bottle thing, which will pull it over as soon as you set it down. But like, there's nothing that's so you can carry a smaller number of discs and still be stable.
Women need pockets. This is what I'm hearing. We need pockets, we need storage. Also for clothing, carry a wide range of women's size clothing. I feel like there's a lot, Ash and I were talking about this earlier, hello sirs. I feel like there's a lot of unisex clothing out there, which is great, and some folks definitely prefer that, but also, yeah, unisex, because it's, not really, but it's having women's cut, having women's style, having joggers that are made for women and not for men, because our bodies are built differently, and we, have curves in different places, and so like I think that goes back to what kind of the initial question Chantal asked earlier in terms of a larger scale, like how women can feel comfortable in the sport. Have the manufacturers help us feel comfortable with what they offer for us. Not saying that it's not already being offered, but just reinforcing that is something that would be really helpful.
and I also want to speak super quickly to an educational component, like maybe if you have men TDs running tournaments and they have ladies division, like encourage them to look at those lightweight discs or get some women's cuts for the women, just kind of educating them, because it might not be their first thought, they might not think of it initially, but just kind of encouraging them to have those lightweight discs available for the women. Because I think they would default to max weight.
I find that a lot of the local women that I speak to that are more AM level and skill, they have been reaching out to the online classes, and that's really worked out well. I think for manufacturers to want to like jump on the board of advancing women's disc golf, those how-tos and the videos like that are really important, because I know a lot of them are coming out with some major skills after just signing up for the power course and a few other things. I think more like manufacturer specific, like talking about the discs, that the sciences behind it, that people aren't really discussing, that women aren't maybe catching on to, that guys might not be describing the right way to them when they're out there. It's more of like an informational, manufacturer specific type of video or classing.
One of our friends who plays pro with us, she reluctantly admitted, she's like, I've been pretending I know what Heiser and Anheuser means for a really long time, and I just realized, and it changed my whole world. So maybe encouraging your pros, if they have like contracts that, that they have to create certain content, like making women-focused content from your pros, that you sponsor, so we're learning from the people that we look up to. Like the Kat Merches and the Jessica Weises and the Holly Finleys. We would definitely love to see more women focused content from them. Jessica Weiss came to our Women's League at Maple, and it was a huge hit. Just having her there was such a great opportunity for women of all levels to learn something new.
And I think we're overall remembering too that like growing women's disc golf is growing disc golf, right? Because that like hashtag grow the sport, and it's like a huge piece of that is growing women's disc golf within that, because that's, rising tide floats all ships kind of thing.
As far as like people making time to get out for disc golf, a lot of times the women are home with young ones, and or they bring them along. I know, KG, but
you can see it right there.
But you got to make it easy for people to be able to do that sort of thing too. So, but they tend to hang back from participating because we tend to stick with the kids and make sure they're cared for. But if we can bring those kids and the young ones along and make things for them to enjoy the sport too, then that's how you grow the sport, is get the whole family involved.
Mitten Bags has mini bags at their booth right now for your kid to carry along. FYI.
And also, I think Kim said one important word, and that's patience. I am one of the only females now, Liz, that is a regular in our area on the course. So I'm piggybacking with a lot of guys in the area and a bunch of my friends. I need to know as a female disc golfer, I am not going to throw as far as them. I am not going to have as much power in my forehand as them. might not make diamonds on the water shot at Maple, and that's okay, but it's a work in progress, and it has to be, what am I capable of doing? So yes, I might be, playing with the guys, and they might play longs, but you know what? It's okay. I'm going to play short, and I'm going to be the best player that I can be on that course that day. So, ladies, patience.
Well said.
And not comparing yourself to those folks that you're playing with, right? Just like focusing on your game, what you can do, whether that's playing with men or other women.
Hello. One thing that I would like to add that I really appreciate that the New England has been doing with a couple of TDs around the area is early registration for women.
Yes.
They have been doing that recently, and I'm going to shout out FDR actually for this past year. I remember signing up for it a couple years ago, and I was the only FPO signed up for that event. Now I believe there's 14 women, maybe 16, I'm not really sure, but last time I checked there was definitely 14 women signed up for the event this year.
In FPO alone.
In FPO alone. And that was because of early registration.
Yes.
He opened up the doors for the women, gave them about, I think, a 2-week, actually, to register. And we got 14 women signed up, at least, for that event now. And I'm very excited to go back and play, and it's a lot of competition. So that's very helpful if TDs, if you're trying to grow the women's side of your sport, is definitely early registration for them. Give them enough time to plan if they have children, to get a babysitter, if they can get a babysitter for their child, and if they want to play for the event. It's just very huge for growing the sport. So if you really want women in your sport, think about that and consider about early registration for them.
Thank you. And big shout out to Lindsay Flammy Furman, again, our women's advocacy officer. She did a lot of work once she came on to the board as an officer to reach out to those local TDs throughout the Northeast and badger, essentially, no, just ask people to offer early reg for women if they want to see an increase of women's participation in their tournaments.
Fiercely advocate. Fiercely advocate. Questions left?
This isn't necessarily a question, but I just wanted to say thank you for making the next global event a 2-day event, because one of my first tournaments was the 2022 global event, and hiking Maple Hill twice in a day was a lot.
Hear that?
It was hot.
It was the hottest.
There's a lot of chafing going on. And so thank you for that. Did you guys say if you were doing reds again this year for Maple Hill?
So for FA2 and below, it's going to be reds again. For FA1, we're going to do a candy cane layout, which is a red and white hybrid, so every other. And then for the pros this year, we're going to do Old Glory, which is a red, white, blue hybrid. We wanted to make it enticing for every division, and everybody can play in a division where they feel that they can be successful, and also offer something for the pros to want them to be able to come. Because as much as we love reds and we love a good birdie fest, we want to entice folks with longer arms to still come to our global event. So we have a little something for everybody this year.
I'm very excited to get my revenge on reds for a second time.
Let's go!
Other questions, thoughts, comments?
Thank you so much, everybody, for being here and for your interest in supporting women in disc golf. If you have any questions at all, please find us on our socials. We are always available, and we wish you the best of luck in growing women's disc golf in your area.
I was gonna say, we have a booth in the small room today, so swing by, say hi if you haven't already. We've got a raffle, we've got some pins, we've got some socks, we've got some info. We've got some info stuff about our sponsorship levels. Am I forgetting anything?
Free glow sticks.
Free glow bracelets, which is really the most important thing.
Obviously. First tournament because of these women.
Thanks, y'all. Enjoy your expo day.
Everybody.